Defense Department, the IMF, the World Bank, all look at the continent of Africa as divided at the Sahara between the North and the South, at the Maghreb. And then the rest is the sub-Saharan countries. In your view, is this a realistic or artificial division?
Well, most definitely an artificial division, but a division that has been drawn by geography. The Great Sahara definitely does create a division between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, but I think in the last, let's say, 70 to 80 years, this division has been constantly challenged, and the boundaries have been pushed back.
With your stress on the unity of Africa, let me start this next question with a quote. It goes like this: "The problem that Africa is really suffering from is negative PR. If there is a criticism I would level against celebrities, they have tended to perpetuate negative stereotypes. They always tend to portray Africa as a horrendous basket case. They want to portray the war, the poverty, the disease, the corruption. As an African, I am tired of it." This is a quote from Dambisa Moyo, who's a Zambian economist, trained at Harvard and at Oxford, and formerly with Goldman Sachs. She's got a new book out called Dead End. She says, she really, as you know, as I've said, she complains about the portrait of Africa that is portrayed by celebrities. She recommends shutting off all foreign aid to Africa within 10 years. What do you think of her recommendations?
Well, let me comment on her observation first, and by saying that, unfortunately, bad news sells. Unfortunately, in the West, in the press, there is always a tendency to focus on those negatives. But there are success stories. There's the vibrance of peoples, of diverse characteristics, diverse cultural attributes, arts, achievements in all fields, and we can certainly mention many. The ambition, of course, is quite, I can understand what it entails. It entails maybe encouragement towards the African countries to shed their dependence on aid and to do so within a specific time limit. Whether that is a practical time frame under current circumstances, I think we have to first of all assess those challenges, and they are different from country to country, and direct our objectives and our goals to each in accordance with its capabilities and its capacity.
I would really like to know what the ambassador feels about the prospect for improved life and stability in Sudan and Darfur. I mean, everybody's talking about this. We've spent millions of dollars, hundreds of diplomats. And quite frankly, if Egypt can't put their fingers on the problem, then the likelihood of the Americans and others doing something real is not very promising because of Egypt's political and cultural and economic ties to this part of the world. We need a solution in Sudan.
Well, I certainly recognize the direction of your question, and I think Egypt is as concerned with the situation in the Sudan, as interested in resolving it, and thereby has supported all the political process that has been underway in terms of the comprehensive peace agreement, in terms of trying to handle to the best of its abilities the situation in Darfur. But we have to also recognize the complexities of the issues in the Sudan, the political conditions that exist, and continue to work actively, and we do work actively with the Sudanese government, with the various, with the government of the South, and I think it was very indicative when the president visited Sudan last that he made it a point to visit Juba and to sit down with its leadership and to provide Egypt's support, political support, in a very recognizable fashion.
Approval. Of course, every country is a sovereign nation, and they do what they think is best for their country. And so therefore, I'm sure that the invitation to Mr. Bashir to Egypt must serve some mutual purpose.
It was to instill and have the opportunity face-to-face and at that level to see President Bashir and to instill on him the importance that stability in Sudan constitutes a strategic importance to Egypt. And thereby, it was important to instill on him the importance that his actions should provide that necessary stability.
Almami Sila with IFES here in Washington. The positive is that we have seen the African Union take strong positions on countries like Guinea for the coup d'etat, and regional organizations taking a position with recently Madagascar. However, it's a little discouraging when the African Union is not coming out with strong voices when the voices of people are trampled upon. Elections in Zimbabwe, elections in Kenya, those are elections in Ethiopia. The question is, what is Egypt as a leader, founding member of the AU, doing to raise these concerns that the voices of the people are very, very important?
Thank you.
Well, I think I have had the pleasure of attending several African Union summits, and on all of those occasions, within the context of the dialogue between the heads of states, issues of this nature have always been brought up, and are brought up in a candid and very direct manner. And the overwhelming majority is sticking to the principles, sticking to, first of all, the African Union has always advocated the non-intervention in the internal affairs. But having said that, that has not precluded a very active consultations in advocation of principles related to good governance, related to the protection of human rights, related to legitimacy in the political dimension.